Hello and welcome along to a rather special Netball Unlocked bid interview episode. For those of you that don't know, this is our dedicated series where we sit down with the biggest and most exciting names and faces in our sport and we really try and get into it. And I'm delighted that today's guest is a self-confessed big yapper, quote, so we won't be short on conversation, and that's just as well because she somewhat broke the netball internet this summer. I can, of course, only be talking about Sophie Fawns, formerly of the New South Wales Swifts and now of Manchester Thunder for the 2025-2026 season. G'day, Sophie. How are you going?
Hi, I'm going good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, very well, very well. How's the off-season been treating you?
Very nice. I've done some travel, been super lucky to be able to go to Uluru, which is in the middle of Australia, and do some traveling there and just working out just what life looks like in off season.
Yeah, disconnect, because that's quite outbacky.
Very. I didn't have reception for a few days.
But good to switch off.
Yes, very nice. And I think as well, good timing with, I guess, the announcement and everything, and having so much love and so much support, which was lovely, but nice as well to be able to put down my phone and just enjoy what Australia has to offer before heading over to England soon.
Yes, I mean, I think we need to get into that straight away, Sophie. I'm not sure we can do small talk for much longer. Right. You're making the move from Suncorp Super Netball to Netball Super League, joining Manchester Thunder from Swift, as I introduced you. Talk us through that. Walk us through how you made that decision, how the decision happened, like all the details. Give it to me. What happened?
Yeah, so I first got reached out through Karen. She sent me an email, a personal email, which has never happened to me before. So I was like, oh my God, it's so exciting. And yeah, I sort of set up a meeting with her. It was kind of like, wasn't really in my, I guess, plan to go play internationally or in a different league, but was something that I was like, oh, I think it would be a really cool opportunity. And, you know, you never say no to anything, especially when a really cool opportunity like this arises. So, and I also felt super lucky that at that point I hadn't been playing a lot of court time in the Suncorp Super Netball. So it was nice to sort of know, I guess, in that moment that coaches were still looking, clubs were still looking, and I was still sort of wanted, I guess. And I met with her and she just blew me away with like the conversation we had. Like I'd never really spoken to any other coaches, I guess, being a part of the Swiss for the past 4 years, and sort of going through that pathway that we have here at Netball New South Wales. Um, and yeah, just the expertise and I guess what she had to offer and how she came across as like her character and everything really drew me in to having more of an idea of what maybe I do want to move to Manchester. Um, and I think throughout the rest of the season, like being able to contact Meg, who's now my manager, and she was so great about everything. It sort of just felt like one of those moments where other clubs had reached out to me here in Australia, and I just couldn't quite see myself playing there, or playing in this league again just for the time being. And I thought like I used to like, you know, go to sleep at night and couldn't imagine like not being anywhere except for Manchester and what a cool opportunity it would be. Especially like being so young and still having like all this experience behind me as well and support to go play somewhere else. So yeah, it was really exciting when the contract came through in my email and I got to send it and sign it. And yeah, having to keep that secret then for the next, I guess, month before it got announced was, oh my God, so hard because I live with two other girls and I tell them absolutely everything. And they're my teammates at Swifts as well. So it was a very tough secret to keep, but one that I was super happy to share with them when the time came.
And Sophie, you were quite deceptive because I think it got so fraught trying to figure out who was going where, and you sort of sneaky followed some other clubs to try and put everyone off the scent.
I did. My housemate Maddie Turner is a bit of a she loves like games and things like that. And she was just when I told her that I was leaving Swifts and not staying in the country, she was like, "Do you know what you should do? You should follow Sunshine Coast Lightning so that everyone thinks you're going there." And I did have people for a while, which I thought was really funny because I'm not really like a prankster like that, but it worked.
I suppose what that says is that everyone was fascinated by this move that you're making. But just to go back to what you were saying, because there's something about this sales pitch that Karen Gregg gave you that obviously like really moved something in you. Can you give us a bit of an insight into what she said? Because we know she's quite a persuasive woman. She's a force in this league. She's an unbelievable coach. She has great players behind her. But I'm curious what it was about what she said that really won you over.
Yeah, I guess the way she like introduced herself, and I guess when coaches and when clubs are trying to pitch themselves to you, of course they're, going to pitch them their best self, and I really liked that she, at the end of the day didn't make any promises, which to me that was really positive because I was sort of like, everything's always changing all the time. You can't ever promise anything, or you can't, promise a player anything, and just like she was kind of like, not to toot my own horn, but this is my experience. This is who I've coached. Like you could ask any of these girls. I'm more than happy for you to ask them what they think of me, which I loved, like that confidence as well. And I think as well that the confidence she already had in me before even, I guess, meeting me. And, at this point in time, like haven't really had any idea about what the NSL really looks like. And yeah, to have her, sort of say what she sees in my future, how she thinks she could best develop me, like the goals that she would have for me. And she kind of just was not pumping my tires, but enough as well that I was like, she actually truly believes in me. And she was very forward with the whole, like, I know that your end goal is probably to play back in Australia, and I'm completely fine with that. But I think what a cool experience it would be to play here while you're 21. And yeah, I guess like that to me was like, oh, she actually really cares about like the athlete. She cares about the person as well. And after reaching out to a few players as well who do know her, I've heard very, very good things. So I was very happy that I'm like, I think I've made the right decision. Well, I know I've made the right decision.
Well, it's because you have Helen Housby as a teammate who came through that Thunder pathway. Has she told you anything exciting about what it's like in Manchester?
Oh my gosh, when I first told her that I was moving to Manchester, she started bawling her eyes out because she was so happy. And she was like, this is honestly the best case scenario of you leaving. Like, I can't believe you're going there. You're going to have the best time. And she just spoke so highly of all the players, of the environment, of the coach. And she was like, it's been years since I've been there, but I promise you, like, it would not have changed. And like, she was sort of saying like she has a lot to owe to Karen in terms of like how Helen has now turned out as a player, being under Karen. So I think that was really exciting as well to know that one of the best goal attacks in the world is telling me what a great experience I'm going to have under the same coach that, made her her.
I mean, also, Sophie, we should say you've said you're 21, and it's kind of a bit mind bending because you have played, was it 4 years now in Super Netball?
Yes,
That's right.
yep.
So that is so much experience, but you're also so young at the same time. Is there a sense which this decision is also rooted in? I need to go and see the world a bit. Like a lot of things happen when you were really young, and it's like, okay, like there's an off-court Sophie as well that maybe wants to go and try something different.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like seeing when I was younger, like being surrounded by all my teammates who are, 10 years older than me, and seeing like the experiences and the travel that they do. And, I'm kind of 10 years behind, still at uni, still studying, still working. And then to see like all the cool things that they do. And I was like, you know what, I want a taste of being able to do something off court too and like build that life. And I guess because I did move when I was so young, it was almost like everything was just thrown at me all at once, like going from being a training partner to a replacement player to like contract and starting uni and like not having family here and just so many things all at once that I have sort of like, I guess, found my groove here in Sydney. And I do love this place and love the family that I've created here. But at the same time was kind of like, I do feel ready, I guess, to do things off court and like to experience new things and sort of like build myself a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that is, Paul and I often talk about it on this podcast with folks, players that we speak to, but there is a whole other bit that goes along with the playing and especially when you're moving overseas and what that looks like and what that feels like as well. I mean, you're going to experience that, but how much of that is part of the decision, like to just try something different, to experience something different, to try new coaching, as you talked about there with Karen. But Sophie, we'll get into also your story because it is quite amazing how your trajectory. But just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what the difference between Super Netball and NSL and the Super Shot as well, because you've actually, that's new, relatively new. You've had a season of it in Super League, but you're quite well practiced at it at SSN. How do you find it? Do you like it? What's your feeling on it?
Oh, the super shot, age-old question, isn't it? I love the super shot when we're losing, and I hate it when we're winning because a game can just change so quick. Like with super shots, especially like in the teams that have the super shot shooters who are specialists in it, honestly, are the biggest threats. Like even being 10, 15 goals up is never quite enough. And I think I've learnt heaps coming from Suncorp Super Netball and playing in it, to now being able to bring it into a league, I guess that's just sort of starting because when Suncorp first started the Super Shot, everyone sucked at it. There was no strategy around it. And whereas I think now it changes the game completely. That for 20 minutes of a 60-minute game is so different to how you attack and defend the game, and just completely changes what your strategy would be. And I'm super excited to be able to bring that into the NSL and hopefully come up with some strategy. Very lucky that I have Eleanor, who's also has a bit of experience in it and a very good shooter at it too. So watch out.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite something that that Thunder front end now, with yourself, with Elle, with Lois Pearson coming back. We kind of caught the tail end of her at the end of the Super League season, come back from injury, but she's a shooter on the rise. It's quite, and we should say Nat Metcalf, who was also a Swift, and that does make for quite a scary front end, but very exciting, no? Like those players.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And like I've heard such good things about this team and the players there and the players that you've just mentioned, which I think is so cool that I guess I know they play internationally, but even to hear about them, I guess from the other side of the world to now being able to join them, I'm very happy that I'm playing with them and not against them. That's for sure.
And we should say also, you're a bit of a super shot expert. Like it's well within your range.
Yes, I'm very lucky that I am a long distance shooter more than a under the post thing. I was never like that, but my mum used to make me stand out there and practice after trainings, and now I'm very grateful that she made me do that. But at the time, God, it was hard.
Tell me about that as a shooter, the long range shot. Like, what's that like to build? How much confidence do you have in it? How much do you have to work on it?
Yeah, well, at Swifts, we were pretty diligent in terms of how much shooting we had to do, with shooting cards that we had to complete every day, with a bit of mix of different variations in the circle of where you're shooting from. But for me, like, honestly, it honestly feels like the super shot is not that far out from the ring, but it looks so impressive. But I'm like, it doesn't feel that far. Maybe that's just because I've played it for a few years now. But it's honestly, though, one of the best feelings, like when you get to sink it and you just hear the crowd like roar, or you know that you're like helping your teammates, or like it's just the perfect shot, and like that feeling when you know it's going to go in, is undescribable, to be honest, because it's just like the best. And I think it brings like that excitement to the game too, but it definitely is like a different technique from under the post, and I think it's something that you have to feel. And I love that, like when I coach kids here, they're sort of like practicing every time we do shooting practice at the end. They're sort of like, I want to shoot from long too. I want to do super shots, which I think is so cool that to see that you're actually inspiring the next generation to do that. Um, which is, yeah, really cool. But yeah, definitely a different technique and a different style that took a while to get used to, especially with the extra pressure of the moment of, if it's a close game, or you do have to play a bit of catch up and the strategy around it, whether you go for it or not. But I think it makes it, the risk versus reward all the better.
And I think also, Sophie, if this isn't too painful to bring up, but you actually found yourself in that position that we had in this year, in this season, where you got to make the choice about, do you go for the one and go for extra time, or go for the two? And I'm just really curious about, how you went through that. Maybe could you describe it for us, and what
Yeah.
that teaches you as a shooter and as a player?
Yeah, I think there's been plenty of games where we've won by one goal because of the super shot, and there's been plenty of games that we've lost just by one because of the super shot. And I think honestly, it's one of those moments that if you get it in, no one's ever going to say anything because you're the hero. But then at the same time, if you miss it and there was opportunity to go into like extra time, for example, or just have a draw at the end of the game, and you miss it, you obviously get made the villain. But it's just one of those things that where we're super lucky that like we have trained a lot for like the pressure and have the backing of like our team and the coaches as well to just be like, do you know what, if you feel it, you just go for it. And like being a shooter, it obviously comes with that risk of like you're not going to make 100% of the shots. Very rarely will you play a 100% shooting game. So I think it's just having that confidence and like to know to back it. And I think like in that moment as well, like no one else can make that decision except for yourself. And I think that I've come a long way from my first year where it was sort of like looking to everyone else for advice on it to being in my last year where it was like, okay, yes, I'm going to take it because like I said, if you take it and it goes in, no one says anything, but if you miss, it is always a discussion of what could have been.
But I think it's really important though that like you have that experience, and as we said, like, you know, you're young, but that those game moments make you such a threat as a player because you've done the pressure, you've done the regret bit, and then you've done the, you know, the hero part as well, and all of that builds up to make you quite a resilient netball player at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, definitely 100%.
So, Sophie, talked a little bit about Supershot, NSL. Let's talk about you. The Sophie Fawns story. Where does it start? I believe in a place called Wagga Wagga, which sounds magical. But tell me about it.
I doubt anyone over in the UK has heard of Wagga Wagga, but yes, grew up in well, it's not really a country town. It's more mainly country because it's 5 hours away from literally any major city, in the middle of nowhere of New South Wales. But yeah, grew up with there. I have three sisters, two older, one younger. And grew up there playing. My two older sisters played netball. I never wanted anything to do with netball, hated going to games and watching my sisters play. I was like, no, mum, I'm doing dancing, swimming, athletics, anything else, not that. Anyway, school netball came around. They were putting a team together and she put my name down. And I actually really, really enjoyed it. I had so much fun. I used to be the kid that used to sit on the court. But then was kind of like, oh, maybe I'll try a bit of centre court because I love to run. So I was sort of like a goal attack centre, bit of a weird mix, but I tried out for my first rep team in centre and goal shooter, and the coach picked me, and the first thing she said to me was, "Don't ever play centre ever again. You're terrible at it." So that dream was quickly dissolved. Um, yeah, and then yeah, sort of went up like through that netball pathway there, but loved being able to grow up in a country town because it meant that I got to play, you know, pretty much any sport under the sun. Like everywhere was only 10 minutes away, so was very lucky that I got to do, yeah, like water polo, basketball, dancing. Had my two older sisters as well, sort of showing me the ropes of everything, and then me getting to teach my little sister how to do some things. But yeah, I loved it, and I'm super close to everyone in my family. And then, yeah, made the move to Sydney when I was 18. I was sort of doing a bit of travel up and down the highway, which was 5 hours. Bless mum and dad. I don't know if I would ever do that for my kid, but oh, God, they did it weekly for 3 years, to take me up for trials. And I probably didn't really want to play professional netball. I never really knew anything about it. Was sort of like, I'm just having fun with my friends, and I just happened to be tall and fast and good at shooting. And was super lucky that a coach actually sort of like identified me when I was 14 and saw something in me and convinced me to trial for her team. And at that time I was kind of like, I don't know, I'm like quite young, like I'm very socially awkward, don't really know how I feel about playing with older ladies. But ended up joining that team, and I feel like she just grew my skill so much and gave me the confidence to be able to trial for like rep teams, for my academy and everything. And I feel like as much as I worked hard as well, I was very lucky that I was sort of in the right place at the right time to be, you know, identified at a tournament by the Swifts assistant coach. So she picked me up when I was 16. Took me into training. I stayed at her house. She wouldn't let me stay in the netball house because she said there'd be a bad influence over a 16-year-old. So I stayed with the coach, and she took me to training every day, and I did that in the school holidays, before coming back to Wagga and doing school there. And yeah, it was COVID years when I was in year 11 and 12, so it looked very different to how I imagine most yeah, kids in that year would experience it. And yeah, I moved, I think it was 2 months after my HSC, to Sydney, and just began, like, it was just go, go, go from there.
So netball has been a really big part of your life for a very long time. That's not an understatement.
Yes. Yeah, been huge. And I started playing when I was 10. And yeah, sort of got picked up. And it actually wasn't until I was in the academy and I watched the Swifts play preseason game against the Roses. And I was like, hey, I think I might want to play professional netball. I made the pic collages, the dream boards, all of it. And thank God it came true. And now it's funny because then I got to play with all these girls who I watched who made me want to play professional netball, and they think it's the cringiest thing ever that a 15-year-old made vision boards with their faces on it. And now I live with them and play with them and am best mates with them. But I'm like, isn't that cooler? um, but yeah, netball was like such a big part of my life, like being able to make friends. Like it brought me really close to like my parents as well, being able to do that drive up and down. And my sisters as well, like having their, I guess, being able to watch them play and then like me sort of doing it, although they were probably a bit irritated that I was better at it than them, but
Well, I mean, you've been
yeah,
handpicked, hand plucked out of places and identified, so I think they can't really argue with you on that. To be fair to you, I think
I
you've done
agree.
that. But it's quite amazing that you have these sort of vision boards of yourself. Was that the kind of person that you were? Did you dream big as a kid?
Yes, definitely. I think it was especially because it was something that I sort of never thought was possible. Um, and put my hand up to do state teams, which I like mum was pretty encouraging of letting me do it, but I was like, are you sure you want to drive me all this way for like 10 minutes of playing? And she was like, do you know what? If that's what you want to do, I support you. And yeah, I sort of never imagined I would even get picked in the state team. Like every time my name came out on the trial list to say I was progressed to the next phase, I was like, you're joking. Like, they've made a mistake. Um, and well, the day that the selection came out, mum told me I wasn't allowed to check my emails until I got home, where she told me that I was selected into the team. And again, I was like, there must be a mistake. There's no way I got selected in that. And my first year, like I played on the bench basically the whole tournament. Never really played at nationals and was kind of like, do you know what? That's fine. It was a good experience. And I've always been someone who's super like there for the experience, not necessarily about like playing. And I understand my role within a team, I guess. And I was just honestly so happy to be there because I never even thought that I would be able to represent my state. And from there, how it happened, I have no idea, but I got selected for like the under 17s Australian squad. Got selected into the N Swiss program, and again, I was like, there must be, there must be a mistake. And I feel like I've probably always grown up with that bit of doubt, of like maybe I'm not good enough to be here, but it never really stopped me, I guess, from wanting to dream big and be able to achieve these things.
Yeah, because I guess when up until that point, until you mentioned doubt, I was just like, this is so remarkable that it keeps happening, and then I was like, surely, I was like, how are you dealing with that mentally, like that success coming so quickly with succession, and as you say, it's not 60 minutes of court time, but you're still getting picked and chosen, and emails are coming through. But you mentioned there's some doubt. Is there a kind of that tension, I suppose, when you want to do something but you're not sure if you're good enough, but you still put yourself forward for it and you're ready for the, like, what if it does that I guess is a kind of progress, isn't it, going forwards?
Yeah. And I feel that, to be honest, like all the time with every aspect of life of like, maybe I'm not good enough or maybe I shouldn't do it. Like, what if it doesn't work out? School and uni and netball, but have been really, really lucky that I guess like the people around me with my family and friends have always tried to push me and tell me, it's all in your head. And like, um, honestly, like, I think something that was really big for me when I first started as well was like, what is the worst that could happen? Like, nothing. Like, there's no point putting that doubt in your head when there is nothing bad that could happen out of it. Like, if anything, you just tried. And I think that's what has made me such a good athlete as well, is that I always try and put forward my best self because at the end of the day, like, I tried. And I think then that can come back to like, I did everything that I could. I put myself out there, and if they don't want that, then that's fine. And I think a big thing that I learned as well of being selected into teams but not being able to play, is you learn that everyone is always looking for something different, and sometimes it just takes like that one coach or that one person to be able to see that in you, um, to like really push you to grow. And I think I've been super lucky that I have had heaps of people there who have just seen something in me, which has allowed me to like get to where I am today.
I think it's really that what you said is just really amazing, and I think actually when you kind of tap into that, well, what's the worst that can happen? It's quite a fearless mentality. And once you get there logically, it does kind of unlock quite a powerful thing in an athlete because, what is this all for if it's not for trying and failing and trying and succeeding? Like once you get there, I think it's really, it's an amazing place. And certainly it works out for you because you have this amazing progression up the pathway and then you kind of land a training partner spot at the Swifts. Tell me how that happens.
Yeah, the coach actually reached out, or the assistant coach. It started off I was in the Swifts Academy, and sort of went through there, but living regionally, I just sort of did my own training, with a coach that I was super lucky to have who used to play for the Swifts too, actually. And I literally can't even remember how it happened. I remember how the phone call to get into the academy happened. My mum and I were in Office Works, and she got a call from the coach, and I was, wandering the aisles as you do. And when we're getting in the car, she was sort of like, "Oh, I have something really exciting to tell you. Like you've been picked to be in the QB Swifts Academy," which I was mind boggled. I was like, I didn't even put my name down. How did I get picked? Um, but they were just kind of like, I don't know, like they obviously like see something in you. And my oh no, training partner, I actually had to do an interview. I got sent an email and I had to do an interview. And I remember they were kind of like, we're doing an interview with a few people. Not everyone's going to get it, but we'd love to, have you down for the selection process. And that was my first ever interview. And I was like so nervous. And I remember walking away from it being like, I did not get that. um, but they gave me a phone call and were pretty much like, you always had it. We just had to be uh, basically professional about the whole thing and give you a chance. And yeah, I came into the lounge room. I told my mum and dad. And yeah, something that's probably like really special to me with mum passing away at quite a young age, that she was able to see me get training partner. And although she didn't get to see me actually play for the Swifts, or she saw me in some preseason games and training and whatnot. But yeah, being able to get training partner and I guess see all that hard work pay off, and I guess all the driving that she's done as well, up and down the highway, was something really special. And it, I guess, like that warm fuzzy feeling of like not only am I starting to achieve like what I've always wanted to, but also like to see the joy on like my mum's face and know that I've, keep making her proud, and same as on my dad's face and all my sisters. And yeah.
I mean, I think the British mind, Sophie, cannot comprehend a 5 hour drive. Like the fact that that your parents were willing to do that for you. I think you have to realise that distances between Australia and the UK is a completely different topic that like your brain can't compute it. So I think it speaks a lot to your support that you had that happened. And you mentioned there your mum. You've spoken a lot about with your journey, the different moments at which she's sort of pushing you to put the shots up in the garden and driving you there. Do you think she would be happy for you to see you in Manchester, like taking that leap?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think she'd be a little bit nervous for me, but and I think that was also something that I did think of when I first got reached out from Karen, sorry, and sort of decided to take the opportunity. Like my first thought was like, oh, would mum be happy with this decision? But I think at the end of the day, as long as I was happy and doing what I love, she wouldn't care where in the world I was, as long as I was doing it. So yeah.
That's so lovely. I mean, I think it's a long plane journey, but I reckon your dad and your sisters could come out. Are there plans for them to come out to Manchester?
Yeah, my dad's gonna try and come, and all my sisters were like, "Oh, we'd love to go visit and do that." And it'll be my little sister's first time in the UK as well. It's my first time in the UK too, so I'm a little bit like, well, nervous for it, but excited at the same time. But no, my dad's gonna come, and he's gonna try and bring my grandpa as well. So cute.
Oh, gorgeous. That's so nice.
Yeah, so they can do a bit of sightseeing.
Yeah, there's lots to see, and then also because of the Australian conscious when it comes to distance, like Europe is just around the corner, right?
Literally, I'm like, when they first told me that we would be taking a bus to games, I like was like, what? A bus to games? Like the closest drive here to another game would be 10 hours. So I was like, mind blown that we were taking a bus to games. And then Meg and Karen were kind of like, it's the furthest is 5 hours, like to London, or 4 hours or something. Like it's absolutely nothing compared to what you've been doing. So, oh yeah, it's nothing. Weekends off, I'm like, wow, I could go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I don't think we think about it the same way that you guys probably think about it, but it is quite amazing the travel opportunities that come if you're here. You're just a launch pad for the rest of Europe. It's brilliant.
Honestly, yeah, I'm so excited.
And I guess Sophie, with that experience that you've had in SSN now, what do you think is the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself, having played 4 years in what is the best league in the world with some of the best players in the world? What has that taught you about yourself?
Oh gosh, I feel like I've learnt so much about myself, especially being yeah, like coming over so young and like not really knowing anything, sort of just like finding my feet to like living with friends from high school to now like living in the house with the netball girls who I've like always dreamed of being in this house. So I was said to them, manifestation is real. I'm proof of it. But no, I've learned a lot about myself, and I think as well, especially through my teammates, who I'm super lucky to be really close to, and I think they've quite often like growing up in a family of six as well, and having sisters, they keep you humble. So which is it's a good thing. But then I guess coming here, like, my teammates were kind of like, you actually have no idea like how resilient you are, and like what I guess mature head you have on your shoulders kind of thing. And I think for me then to hear it that that's what people actually think, has yeah made me like learn a lot about myself, about like who I want to be as well, and like being supported and surrounded by all these girls who are 10 years older than me and have all this experience, and they have taught me a lot about yeah who I want to be, I guess, when I grow up, and the kind of not only player but like the person that I want to be too, off the court, and like where I want to leave the sport, and like what I want to do with life. And I think I'm super lucky to know that like netball is my passion and that I do love playing, but also super lucky to learn, I guess, through opportunities of netball of like what I want to do off the court, of like doing female health and education, which allowed me, to like pick my degree to help me, like steer in that direction, I guess. So I feel very, very privileged that at yeah, such a young age that I sort of know what I want to do, and I'm lucky to be doing what I love as a job.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about Sophie off the court. Like, what are your hobbies, passions, interests outside of netball?
Yeah, I I love this question because I always feel like all I do is netball, and then when people ask me what I do off the court, I'm like, I actually have no idea except for like hanging out with my housemates or like going to the beach in the summer, but in the winter we just hang out in each other's room with the afternoon sun, like cats lying on a bed. Um, but I love, yeah, like going to the beach and just being active and hanging out with my friends. I think especially in like off season now, I'm probably seeing it a bit more of like now that you're no longer in an environment where you're seeing your friends every day and doing the exercise, like other things that I can do. And it's always a tough like 2 to 3 weeks where you're sort of figuring out what does a day look like for me when I'm not working or not training. Um, but yeah, I study a Bachelor of Science at uni, and majoring in neuroscience, and that is purely because I didn't want to do organic chemistry, and that was the only major I could do that didn't involve that. But after this term, but then after this term of sitting neuroscience fundamentals, I'm starting to think maybe organic chemistry would have been easier. That's all right. And yeah, I really want to, I'm really interested in doing female health and education, and I want to bring that into schools. I think a really big thing that I learned here is that, obviously, like with my personal story of like mum passing away from ovarian cancer, I guess that forced me to learn a lot about female health. And I'd sort of always been interested in those talks in school and stuff, but then to come here, I guess, where, my teammates had no idea about half the stuff that I was talking about, that I honestly was like mind boggled that like, how can people know so little about their own body? And particularly just because it's not discussed, and it's such a taboo topic. And I think it should be normal because there is no way that anyone can be born without a woman. And I just think like it's something that needs to be spoken about more. And I'm super lucky that I'm in a position of privilege to have a platform to be able to speak about it and to speak to, I guess, kids about it. And yeah, so I'm just trying to work on getting a degree that allows me to have a bit more knowledge about it, so that I can go into schools and do some education stuff. But absolutely love getting all the talks that we get, like with Swifts, that we're super lucky to have access to these female doctors who have quite a bit of information on it, um, and just love like hearing what they have to say and sort of know that that's what I want to do, not the doctor part though.
That's so interesting that that was essentially like quite a traumatic period of your life has become now an advocacy thing for you, and that you want to change people's understandings, educate them on that thing, that those kind of topics. I think is really amazing, and I think netball is kind of like a brilliant vehicle for that as well. If you should ever want, there are lots of people that we are a predominantly female space, and those kind of things that the human body goes through, like people endure while they play, and certainly going out and speaking, in the grassroots level, about all these stories of these people. But actually, like, at the end of the day, we are all women kind of experiencing women things. So I think
Yeah.
that's brilliant. And then to do that at school age as well, I think is really cool. That's something that you want to do.
Yeah, thank you.
It's amazing. I mean, this is a thing about netballers, man. It's like you play netball, but there's also always a little side piece that's quietly quite remarkable. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think female athletes in general are so amazing. I'm like everything that they go through, and like even having to just work like another job or have a degree to be able to like make ends meet, I guess, and being able to pursue your passion too. Like I just think they're absolutely incredible, and I always think like imagine what we could do if we were able to give our sole focus to playing sport. Um, and like improving ourselves constantly without all these other little micro things that we always have to manage, that just never get spoken about or talked about or even thought about. And I'm like, and you're compared the same to male sports, but like you're not, yeah, I guess like your situation is so different as a female athlete, but I just think there's so much power to it. And I love that the sport is growing and that female athletes, and female sport in general is growing.
Yeah, here. I mean, I'm all for it. I completely agree. I completely agree, and I think it is something that absolutely still needs lots of work on. And I do think netball is just as a sport is a great opportunity to talk about these things. So that's brilliant. You're brilliant on that. But let's also talk about, because you mentioned there the Diamonds, Australia. Is that a goal for you, an ambition for you to make it to the national team?
Yeah, I would love to be able to represent Australia and the Diamonds one day. Sarah Clow and I actually have a bet going on, which I'm not going to say what it is in case I jinx it, but I just hope I don't lose because that will not be very financially wise of me. But
It's Diamonds related, is it?
it is diamonds related, yes. Um, but no, I would absolutely love to be able to represent my country one day, and I think that I've been super lucky to have been able to be in the underage squads and I guess sort of get that taste for what like camps look like and what I guess the Australian way is, and to learn all about that, and then to be able to play against these players who play for Australia and with them as well. And I guess like being at those camps at such a young age, like it was honestly like I just wanted to soak it all in kind of experience. Where I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And like, I'm not even in the Diamonds, I just have like an Australian t-shirt, which was so cool. And then like being able to play Fast Five in 2023, again, something I did not think would ever happen to me. I didn't even think I was close to being a, I guess, person to be selected for. But yeah, when I got that phone call to say I'd been selected, I was like, oh, what? That's crazy. But again, like something that I was like, wow, like I remember going to Christchurch and like they were doing the tech run and it was like Australia came up and you're kind of like, oh, that's really cool. But then it was like, you're versing England or you're versing New Zealand. And I remember just being like, I cannot believe people have traveled all the way around the world to like play netball and like they're all from different countries and I get to verse them. And again, it was only at like a fast five level, not even proper international level to represent like the diamonds. So it's definitely something I strive for, and I think it's always a privilege to be able to wear the emblem um, on your uniform. So yeah.
I love that. I love it. I think next time there's any kind of selection call coming, we need some sort of video on your face. It seems like every time it's like, me? Really? Did I do that?
Did you mean a different Sophie?
But that's really amazing that you have this ambition. For me, one of the things that's so striking about the Diamonds is, and as somebody that covers a lot of sports, it is one of the most successful sporting teams ever in existence. Is it ever daunting when you think about it as that, as like, or the prestige that comes with it, that to be in that squad is like quite, it's an unbelievable achievement, really.
Oh, yeah, it is. And I think as well, like the Diamonds is sort of, I guess, an environment where you're constantly, I guess, like up against players for a position, not only like in the team, but on the court, especially having such a big squad. But I think it's also one of those things that you have to be careful of, like not thinking that you have to fill someone else's shoes and that you do bring your own, I guess, like flair to the game too. And I think that's something that I learned at a very young age coming into Swifts being a replacement player that it wasn't about trying to play like anyone else. And I think for me, like if I ever got selected for the Diamonds, that would be sort of, I guess, yeah, what I would take into the environment of like playing like me. But it is scary to think about like that I am sort of, I guess, like that next generation of players coming through. And I'm kind of scary to think about now because I'm kind of like I don't have any experience in that sort of international space at all. To think that one day that I could play there and hopefully that I do get to. But I also think that the green and gold is just so iconic, and those players who do get to represent their country are so inspirational to all the little girls and boys who are playing netball who just want to play for the Diamonds and reach that top achievement.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. And I think the international experience, you'll get some of that, or you'll meet some of the international. I mean, you do in SSM, but in NSL, you see the next generation of English players as well, kicking around, which will be fun, I'm sure, to come up against. I
Yeah.
think, Sophie, I have to ask you are you a fan of netball? Do you watch netball? Is that the kind of person you are? Would you like, no, you know what, I don't need that. That's my job. I don't need to watch it as well.
Yeah, when I wasn't playing, I loved watching it and like putting it on my telly and just sitting down with mum and dad and my family and watching it. But now that it has become my job, not so much. Only because I'm like, I don't really want to have to watch this game to analyze it later. And like, I think if we're not versing the team, like my housemates and I, we love just chucking it on and watching it. When we don't have to analyze it, but the teams that we're going to have to analyze, we don't normally watch. For fun. But I do love watching the Diamonds play as well. Like we watch that for fun a bit too. But I'm not really a TV watcher in general, actually, which has gotten me in trouble a few times.
Do you mean by that? As in you don't film TV? It's not your thing?
Yeah, and like any iconic movie ever, I've never seen. So my housemates are educating me. We've watched the Titanic now. We're getting through Harry Potter. I watched Toy Story for the first time, which again I didn't realize that I hadn't seen until we were at the shops and someone made a comment and I was like, I don't remember that ever happening in Toy Story. And it turns out I hadn't
Wow.
seen it. So yeah.
What else is on the list, Sophie? Because those are some big ones.
Yeah, those are some big ones. I ticked off quite a few. We had to do Game of Thrones, which I heard you're a big fan of too. Had to do that. And so now we've started House of Dragon too. Um, what else is on there? There's a few Disney ones like Pocahontas I haven't seen. But I feel like I've seen most of the Barbie and Disney's and stuff. Um, there's so many. I can't even like begin to name them, but I have never heard of them before. My housemates are like, it's iconic, and I'm like, probably because you're like 10 years older than me. You probably watched it when you were little and I wasn't even born yet. Like,
Gosh, yeah, of course. There's the age gap. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that makes sense. But it's cool that you're going to have this education, and the bus rides are going to be long, the plane is going to be long, so you've got time to
I'm
catch up
not,
and.
yeah, I'm gonna have to start putting movies down. I think it's because I get too fidgety and I'm like, I need to do something in between. Like the ad breaks, I actually live for. I'm like, oh, I can digest that bit I've just watched and now move on.
Sophie, I also wanted to get your opinion on. I know you're leaving Super Netball, but the state of play in the league at the moment with these the Silver Ferns being allowed to come in, and now these kind of like almost fantasy teams that we're getting. What do you make of that for the health of netball in Australia, like at that top level? Because it seems, I mean, you'll get a feel for it here, what it's like, but we kind of guess we're about 10 years off Super Netball, but the crowds, the caliber of player, it seems like quite an exciting time.
Yeah, I think it is super exciting, and I think like having all these silver fern players and internationals that come into play in the best league of the world is really good for the sport, and I think just gains a lot of traction too, and like crowds, and I guess people from across the ditch as well, maybe giving a bit more support, chucking it on their tellies and stuff. But yeah, I think it's really good for the players, and I think it only makes the competition stronger. I do think the only downside of it is, unfortunately, a lot of up and coming players do end up leaving the league. And I think when there's only 80 spots available in the whole country, and you know, not so much 50% of it, but majority of at least two in each team are being taken by internationals. I think it's it's already as hard to get in as possible with how many girls are playing netball too, and there's always someone, just at your heels. Um, but I think for the game itself and for the players that are in the league, it does make it so much stronger. And I think, if anything, it improves international netball as well, of being able to have, girls from England and Jamaica and the Ferns coming through. And I think it'll just change international netball for the better because it becomes stronger. I think like the games, become closer instead of having those wide gaps. But yeah, I think there's always going to be positive and negatives to having no international cap and being able to have these players come through.
I suppose, given that you are at the bright age of 21, what would you like to see for netball in your career? Assuming it's a long and successful one, but what would you like for your sport? Given that essentially you're now at a position where you could be professional for your whole career. This is what we've been building towards, I suppose.
Yeah, I would love, like, I think from when the girls that I play with, when they first started, how I think about how far that netball has come since then, of, in terms of like even payment wise, of, the minimum wage being sort of whatever it was, $12,000 or something, to it now being, well, in, yeah, Suncorp Super Netball, it being 47,000, is incredible change. And I think I would just love to see the sport, be put on the world stage of being in the Olympics, like having those broadcast deals where you are able to be seen from all those countries that don't play netball. I would love for like the pay to go up so that, the girls can afford to be able to play netball full time. And I think we're super lucky here that it is considered full time, but unfortunately, a lot of us do still have to work or study to try and build life off court. And not that it's necessarily a bad thing, because I think it sets you up for life after netball. But I also think at the same time, yeah, it would be lovely to be able to just play netball and focus on your recovery instead of working after training, or just like things like that. But yeah, and I would just love for more players to be able to play. I would love for the men's game to grow as well. I think that it's really, really cool that netball is such a female dominated sport, and the only female dominated sport in the world, and that we don't have that male backing, that we get to be the pioneers of the sport, I guess. But then at the same time, because we don't have that male backing, it does take us a little bit longer to catch up to those female sports that are now taking off, like AFL and NRL. But yeah, I would just love for us to take a bit more charge with that, so that we don't lose girls to other sports, and that we can keep being, the best in the world.
Expansion, I think, is the key. No, SSN
Yes.
expansion.
Oh yeah, I would love to see more teams too. That would be ideal.
And I think also, Sophie, what you're doing by coming to NSI, probably not intentionally, it's not part of your own personal set of goals, but you are, it will be said that your arrival in this league is massive for the professionalization of the game that we have, the caliber of player that you are, and where the sport is going. And you will find, I'm certain, lots of fans and people very excited to meet you, particularly, as you said, because of that combination with Cardwell, with Pearson. I think it's going to make for a really, really exciting season ahead. What, I guess, is my final question. What is coming in your suitcase to the UK? What are you bringing with you? What's slice of home for you?
I have no idea how I'm going to fit my life into two suitcases. It's honestly been on my mind for a month now, and that was also the first thing that Maddie Turner said to me. Was she went up straight up to my room and looked around my room and then looked at me and said, I have no idea how you're going to move anything in this house. Um, yeah, I think like for me it's really important to like have something from home, like those pictures, like special little items that I've, I guess, taken from my Wagga home to here, um, that I would love to, yeah, take. Eleanor Carwell said knee-high boots are essential, so they're coming with me too. Probably going to take up half my suitcase room, but that's fine. Um, but no, I think, yeah, just having like those small little things with me that I can always carry, and like I guess like those handheld things that I know I can keep close, that would make me feel comfortable. And I think because I've just been so excited about moving, I haven't even thought about the fact that I literally won't know anyone there except for my teammates. And that it gets dark at like 3:30 or something. That's insane.
Bit cold as
Um,
well, I'll be honest.
yeah, I don't think it was a great idea to be moving in winter, but that's all right. That's fine. I'll have a suitcase of winter things and a suitcase of summer things.
Indeed, yeah, be optimistic.
Yeah, and everyone's telling me I'll buy heaps of stuff over there, but I'm like, I don't know if I could even afford to.
Are you a Tim Tam fan? Do you Tim Tam fan?
I love Tim Tams, and I'm.
Well, we have them over here now, so you don't have to stuff those in your suitcase. I can tell you that for free.
I was honestly thinking on my drive today, would I have to bring some Arnott's biscuits for my tea? I don't know. I don't know what kind of snacks everyone has over there, and I'm because I've never been to the UK. I like this is gonna be so different, so many different things. But then I'm like, will I miss like shapes over here? Or like, yeah, Tim Tams. Well, now I know Tim Tams are there, thank God.
Much better. We have like there's the penguin biscuit, and people are like the naysayers of Tim Tams are like, oh, it's basically the same as a penguin, and it's like it's kind of not though, is it? Because like the Tim Tam is chocolatey, it's kind of caramelly. I can't explain it. So yeah, don't worry, we got you on the Tim Tam.
Yes, thank God. I don't think I could pack anything else from Australia here. But Helen, I think Helen will be a good person to speak to about different things I can have. She's never had, sorry, this is so irrelevant, but she's never had a Bunnings snack. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a sausage sizzle. And every Saturday, does not matter what Bunnings warehouse you go to here, and Bunnings is just like garden house warehouse stuff. But every Saturday, does not matter where you go in Australia, someone will be having a sausage sizzle. And she has never ever seen one. And she was like, I've lived here for 8 years and I swear people are making it up. And I'm like, you can go anywhere and it's, you just have a sausage sandwich.
We got sausage rolls for you if you want to try that. But a sausage sizzle sounds good. I'm not gonna lie, I might be.
It's so good. I'm going to convince Karen to get some for her barbecue.
Perfect. Well, listen, Sophie, we've had you for an hour, and it's been an amazing opportunity to get to know you, to get to know what you're about, what you're hoping to do, and look, we're looking forward to having you over here.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited about it. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you, and hopefully chat to you soon.
Yes, definitely.